It's Sean and Darren back with you here from Cloud9 with some questions that we're answering for you. Any silly questions, anything about property and the process of buying. And actually, Sean, we had one from John from California.
Okay, great.
Recently, and he was saying, basically, if I'm out with an agent and I finally find the house of my dreams, what happens next? What shall I do?
Buy it.
Buy it, yeah. Well, obviously, yeah.
No, it's quite daunting actually, because that sometimes clients come over here just for a look-see, and because the properties are great, the sun is normally shining pretty well, pretty nicely. So it very often happens that they kind of get to that stage where they go, oh crikey, I'd like to buy this. So if you do see something that you like, I think the important thing sort of retrospectively is to be in a position to buy it. So before you come over, check that you can afford it. So maybe speak to a mortgage broker, speak to a bank at home, whatever you decide to do. And also, if you have any doubts about the process legally, speak to a lawyer here. It's all free of charge, free advice. So if I were you, I would get that advice on board and then come to Spain armed with that knowledge. So if you do see something you like, as in this case, you're in a position to go for it. And by going for it, what that means is that unlike some other countries, particularly the UK, if you see something that you like, you want to make an offer, you then go into normally a stage of negotiation. If it's a resale property, normally on a new development, there isn't any room for negotiation. They might throw in an extra, but normally the prices are fixed because the developer doesn't want to sell to you at a discount if they've sold at full price to people before you, so it causes them problems. But on resale properties, normally there's a negotiation that takes place, and once a figure is agreed for the sales price and all the other conditions, then you need to take it off the market before somebody else gets in there. So normally you pay a reservation fee. Depending on the value of the property, it's normally between 6,000 and 10,000 euros. And both parties will sign an initial reservation contract. And what that does is it just sets out the conditions of sale in a very simple format. And it means that the property is then taken off the market, which is the important thing. So if you're flying home the next day, you can kind of, you can breathe easy on that plane knowing that you've pretty much secured that property. And then what happens is there's a period of due diligence done by your lawyer, which we'll come on to in a moment. And they will check that the property is legal, that it has all the necessary licenses in place, that it was, allowed to be built in the first place, so that you're not buying something that's going to cause you problems. And once the lawyer is happy with their due diligence and you're happy to proceed, you then go to the next stage, which is called a private purchase contract. And that's when it gets quite serious, because at that stage you need to part with 10% of the property value. And in that private purchase contract, you will then set a completion date to be agreed by both parties. And if you back out once you've signed that private purchase contract, you lose that 10%. Okay, if the other party backs out, then you have the right to get your money back and another 10%. So it's quite a serious document. It's something that binds the two parties together completely and legally. And then you just aim for the completion date, which can be a few weeks or a couple of months or whatever, depending on how complex the completion might be, whether the buyer needs a mortgage, all those sorts of things, really.
Good. John, hope that helped. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon for the next session.